Have you ever felt like no matter how hard you try, something always holds you back? Like you're in the same cycle, but just moving in circles. What if I told you that your reality isn't as real as you think? Rather, it's a reflection of something deep inside of you that you just haven't acknowledged. That feeling of always being behind. The constant self-doubt. Those patterns that just keep repeating in your relationships, in your career, your self-worth. They're not just happening to you. They're being created by you. And not consciously, but by the identity that you've unconsciously accepted as true. Your external reality, your job, relationships, opportunities, they mirror your inner world. Your identity, it acts almost like a filter that just shapes how you perceive everything around you. It's like wearing glasses that are tinted by your beliefs, ensuring that no matter what happens, you still see the world through that lens. If deep down you believe that you're not good enough, you might be unknowingly pushing away opportunities without even realizing it. And if you see yourself as someone who always struggles, your mind will find a way to make that true again and again. This is why two people can live through the same situation and have completely different realities. It's not the world that's different, it's their internal programming. And that programming is not your fault. Most of it was formed when you were a child, before you even realized you were being shaped. But here's the key, we can change it. You see, your brain immediately filters out information that does not align with your beliefs. But you really do not have to keep seeing it this way, guys. You have that power to reshape that lens and rewrite your life script. And the point of me making this video isn't about theory, but actually making real change. So let's break down how you can start to shift your internal programming and start to see reality in a different way. Here's a simple framework that I started using recently that has really helped me shape my own reality and giving me that confidence and belief that I didn't used to have. The first step is always awareness. If you want to change the direction your life is headed, you need to start understanding the script that you've been living by. You ever notice how you have these automatic reactions or thoughts? When something goes wrong, do you ever catch yourself thinking, why does this always happen to me? Or when something goes right, do you ever feel the need to downplay it like, I'm not really worthy of this? That is your internal programming. Those beliefs that you hold about yourself control your perception of reality, even unconsciously. So that first step is to notice. I know it might sound simple, but it's crucial. Start noticing how you talk to yourself, even in moments of stress and success. Ask yourself, what's the story I'm telling myself right now? I had to notice that whenever something good would come my way, I would hesitate, I would step back, or I would sabotage it. And it wasn't until I became aware of this pattern that I realized that this was the story that I was unconsciously telling myself. I'm not someone who wins. I'm not someone who can't handle success. Let me know in the comments, what's a belief that you've been living by that might not be true? Once you're aware of that story, the next step is to interrupt that pattern. This is when you pause and challenge all those automatic behaviors that continue to come up. Let's say you catch yourself thinking, I always mess up. Pause right there. Ask yourself, who told you that? When did you decide that that was true? For me, that moment happened during a massive group project I was working on in college. I had this old story that I was always someone who found a way to mess things up, especially when they were really big and important. And I remember having a massive panic attack a week before the project was due. I'd actually done my part and I submitted it, but I just could not shake that feeling that my section was gonna be the reason that we got a bad grade. And I caught myself asking, why do I always think I'll screw up? And the answer was humbling. I feel like that story came from when I was a child, where failure was just a common theme in my family. And a friend of mine just convinced me to write down all of my thoughts on a piece of paper. And instead of staying stuck in my head, I visualized myself stepping out of that cycle. And that simple action of just writing it down and seeing it for what it was helped me break that pattern. The key being asking yourself those tough questions like, is this belief serving me? Is this even true? Sometimes you realize that this pattern isn't even yours to begin with. It may be something you inherited, something that society handed you, or something you picked up when you were too young to challenge it. Interrupting this pattern is about conscious awareness. You start questioning those old stories, and when you start questioning them, they lose their power over you. Now, once you've interrupted that pattern, the next step is to rewrite the story. You need to replace that old disempowering belief with a new empowering one. For example, instead of telling yourself, I'm not ready, try saying, I am becoming someone who can handle this. I know it's subtle, but it's really powerful. When I rewrote my own story, I replaced, I'm not someone who wins, with, I'm someone who keeps growing and evolving. It wasn't about jumping straight into a delusional belief that I've already made it, but rather about becoming someone who can handle success, someone that's learning to trust themselves more and more every day. And you might not feel like you're there yet, and that's totally fine. Like I said, the key is to see it as a journey and not being delusional into thinking that you've become an overnight success. But even if that new story still feels really uncomfortable at first, which it probably will, just try it like you're trying on a new pair of shoes. It'll slowly shift that energy from I can't to I can and I will. The fourth and final step is to build evidence. Your brain needs proof that this new identity is real. It's not enough to just simply believe it, but you have to act in a way that just continues to reinforce that new story. For example, I started taking small actions that could prove that I can handle big opportunities. Instead of panicking when a new opportunity presented itself, I stepped forward even when I felt terrified. I took on things that felt just outside of my comfort zone, but I did it intentionally. And each small win started to build proof that I just was not the same person anymore. And unfortunately, you have to do it scared sometimes, but the more that you do it, the less scarier it gets. Those actions will prove your new identity to yourself. They don't need to be perfect, they just need to be real. Maybe it's taking a small risk in your career. Maybe it's setting boundaries in your relationship. Maybe it's standing up for your worth and speaking your truth. I remember when I first opened up on this channel about my depression and my ADHD and how I was terrified to expose such a personal thing to a bunch of people on the internet that could just make fun of me for it. And it was really uncomfortable. I did fear that rejection, but then I started receiving a lot of positive comments and a lot of just great community feedback. And all of that helped me build that new foundation of the belief that I am worthy of acceptance and love and communicating with you guys on a big platform. It's a really powerful shift when you can start to see how this process all works. Following these steps will help you take back control of the identity that's been created without your consent. I don't subscribe to the belief that life is inherently fair or unfair. I believe it simply reflects the thoughts you have as both the creator and observer of your experience. Think about all those people who have gone from being really sick to healthy, and what changed was their thoughts. That new mindset about health became that mirror for that body's transformation. Albert Einstein said that we cannot solve our problems with the same level of thinking that created them. And this is why examining your thoughts is crucial for change. Remember, the world outside of you is simply a reflection of what's happening inside. And if you can shift the way that you see yourself, you will begin to believe that you are worthy and capable of anything you want. And then the world around you will begin to mirror that change. And as you continue, you'll come to realize that that story that you're now living is far more empowering than the one that you've been telling yourself all those years. Thank you all so much for watching. If this resonated with you, please don't forget to like it, subscribe if you have not, and possibly share it with someone that you feel like may need to hear this today. I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Also, stick around for this next video coming up, and I will see you in that next one. Later, guys.